Shalom, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Journey Through Torah. This week, we're continuing the narrative of the Tabernacle. We talked about the importance of the children of Israel building the Mishkan, the dwelling place, the Tabernacle for Yahweh, and that as he's doing this, we're literally building on earth as it is in heaven. We're building the copy that Yahweh showed Moshe in the heavenlies. He showed him the original that was not made by human hands, and basically is saying, I want you to copy this, I want you to make this, and I want you to fashion everything this way, and everything has to be according to the plan. But it wasn't Yahweh that was doing this. It was the people who had the responsibility to do it, but the people had the responsibility to do it as Yahweh showed to Moshe. In other words, there was a plan, there was order, and there were certain ways certain things had to be done. It's not like people could just come in and say, well, I know what you're saying. The menorah has to look like this, but I think it would really neat if it looked like that. Couldn't work that way. Okay. It had to be done exactly the way that Yahweh showed Moshe, but the people did have a lot of responsibility in doing this. They had to actually put their hands to it. They had to actually fashion the wool, the thread, the fabric. They had to dye everything. They had to have the skins. They had to smith the silver. I mean, they had all of these things they had to do. The people had responsibility to do this, but they had to do it according to the way that Yahweh had showed Moshe. And even after things were built, the people still had a connection to how everything was supposed to run in the Mishkan. We see that in this week's example. We talk about the menorah. It's kind of interesting because we start talking about how everything's supposed to be made, and then we kind of take a break in here to talk about the menorah and the priesthood, and then go back into making things. It's really interesting why that break is in there, but we're learning that we have some responsibility in the function of the tabernacle, just not in the preparation of the tabernacle. And we know, as we've been reading through this, it's not just about building a actual literal place for Yahweh to dwell, like a tabernacle or a tent or a building. It's about us preparing our hearts to be a dwelling place for him. He is showing us how things are working in the heavens, and he'll show us how these things work on the earth. He's showing us the ministry of the high priest before he can say, before he sends Yeshua to be a high priest for us, we first have to say, what's a high priest? What does he do? What's it look like? What's his function? What's the role? How does everything in the tabernacle work? So these are the things as we're exploring through the Torah that we get into. This week, we start off by talking about the menorah, the candlestick, and so as this was made, every day it had to be prepared. Every day the menorah had to have the trim, the wicks needed to be trimmed, the pots needed to be cleaned, but the menorah was supposed to be lit continually and always. And what would happen if you took a wick, which many people believe that the wicks were made from the old garments from the priesthood, the linen tunics of the priesthood, because, the linen burns very well, cut in the strips, put it in there, light it, burns pretty good. So many people believe that, but so that's used as the wicks. But what happens if you just light a piece of linen? Well, you're going to get a good amount of smoke, for one. It's going to smoke, it's going to burn, but it's not going to last long either. So what do you need? You need oil. So you need the fire, you need the wick, you need the oil, and it has to be put in the cup, and then it needs to be cleaned daily, and this was supposed to be continually before the Lord. Now, who was supposed to provide the oil? You say, okay, well, shouldn't it be the priesthood that provides the oil for the menorah? But actually, it was not. It was the people of Israel who had a responsibility to provide the oil for the holy place for the menorah. That should give some of you a hint to a few different things. One makes us think of the parable of the 10 virgins, the 5 wise, the 5 foolish. 5 had oil, 5 did not. When the time came for the bridegroom to come, they were all asleep, though. Not really getting into that today, but they were all asleep. And then a cry came out, the bridegroom is coming, go out to meet him, prepared. So the 5 who had the oil, what would happen? If they all had lamps and they kind of sat there, laid out, they fell asleep, well, the 5 still had some fire burning. They put more oil in there, trimmed the wicks, and they got up and they went on. They had that fire still burning, right? Well, if you run out of the oil, your fire's not going to last long. So the 5 who didn't have, their fire went out. They didn't have the oil to keep the fire sustained. So they said, give us some of your oil. And they said, no, you have to provide your own oil. That seems kind of like a cruel principle, doesn't it? After all, aren't we supposed to share and give to one another? Guys, I believe this is pointing us back to the tabernacle in the time where each person of Israel, the Israelites, were responsible for providing the oil for the lamp. And I think the parable of the 10 virgins, the 5 wise, the 5 foolish, is kind of tying in with that. The ones who are having the oil prepared and giving that oil to the holy things, the menorah is a representation of our Messiah. The menorah is the servant that is there in the Mishkan. That middle branch is the servant in the menorah. I believe it's pointing to Yeshua. And in many different pieces of literature, the menorah is referred to as the light of the world, which Yeshua referred to himself as the light of the world. A lot of different connections in there. But we are supposed to provide the oil for the menorah. The menorah is going to stand with or without us. There's going to be fire put on it every day with or without us. The question is, are we providing the oil to make it burn? Now, how do you get the oil? The olive has to be pressed. So if you're the olive, you need to be pressed, okay? And just the matter of life and circumstances of life and all these things, what happens when you push something? Well, whatever's in there comes out, okay? So when life and all these circumstances, these things come at you and you're being pressed, what comes out? Is what comes out good, holy? You know, the anointing of Yahweh, these good, precious things going to use for his purposes and his fire and all these amazing things to let his light shine, burn within us, all these? Or, you know, one way or another, you're going to get the oil out of that olive. You know, whether it's that first press, that purest oil that comes out of there, or it's thrown into the oil press and that stone, it's like a mill, stone runs around it, crushes the olive, and then all the oil drains off. Well, you're going to get the oil that way, but it's not going to be as pure. And then you got all these pieces of the flesh of the olive in the oil. And so it gets all messed up. Now you have to filter it to get the flesh out of the oil. And so you have to filter it and get that out. But no matter how good you filter it, you may still end up with little teeny tiny pieces of flesh that you missed. Okay. But that very first press, that purest press, gives the purest oil. We can learn from this lesson of saying when life and circumstances and things come at us, are we quick to respond in ways that we should? Are we quick to give Yahweh the honor, to give Yahweh the glory, to give all to him in that press, that first press? Are we giving him fuel for the fire? That's what we need to do. We need to have that fire lit. It's holy fire that was there in the tabernacle. Remember when the altar was lit? Yahweh lit that fire. It says fire came out from before the Lord and lit the altar. So Yahweh lit that fire. It's holy fire that's there, but the oil had to be provided from the people. You got to provide the oil. Is it going to be the finest, purest oil? Or you're going to have to say, okay, this is the only oil I got, and it's got, you know, chunks of flesh in it. And so the oil's going to burn, but it's not going to be the best fire. It's not going to be the best flame. It's going to get gunky. It's going to cause, you know, a lot of black smoke. It's not that. So you want a good, bright, plain fire? Let's submit to Yahweh quickly in all of these things. All right. All of that to go down to say when the menorah was taken care of and you had to put the fire on it, it's interesting how it phrases it. Let's take a look at it. Exodus 27:20. So you are to command Bnei Israel that they are to bring you pure olive oil beaten for light to cause the lamp to burn continuously. So it's a continual burning from the lamp. And it says to bring oil beaten. Again, another picture there. You know, I know the example I used, the first press, the finest press, but again, you know, what degree of beating, right? And you could even use this as a picture of how Yeshua was beaten and stricken and all of that, right? Again, many different pictures that we can point on this. So when it says to cause the lamp to burn continually, the Hebrew there is leha'alot ner tamid. So leha'alot, Allah is the word that's used there. Allah doesn't just mean fire, it means to ascend or to go up. It's the same word that's used for the olah offering, something that ascends or goes up, and translated as the burnt offering. So it is the going up of the eternal light, the ner tamid, the eternal lamp. So this lamp is going to burn forever, continually, consistently, constantly. That's what we're talking about, right? And it is something that causes to ascend. It's not just saying fire or burn. No, it causes an ascent. It's kind of like Shir LaMahalot, the songs of ascent. As you're going up to worship on the Temple Mount, you are ascending to go up. The idea here, guys, is that we're looking up. Okay, we're looking to Yahweh. We're looking to him for all of these things, and that will help us keep that fire burning. That will help us keep providing the oil, providing for these things, and help us to learning together in this. Okay, so we need to keep the fire burning. We need to keep the fire lit, which we see in another place as well. We're talking about continual fire. We read in Exodus 27, 20, and 21 regarding the Menorah, but we also see in Leviticus 6, 12, and 13 about the altar. And there's something there as well that causes us to look at personal responsibility within this. Same thing with the Menorah. Leviticus 6, 12, and 13 says, "The fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it. It shall not go out. The priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and he shall arrange the burnt offering on it, and shall burn on it the fat of the peace offerings. And the fire shall be kept burning on the altar continually. It shall not go out." So see how it reiterates this. The fire is to be kept burning on it. It shall not go out. In verse 13, to be kept burning continually. It shall not go out. A couple interesting things here. Okay. So verse 9, where it says, because of the burning upon the altar all night until the morning, the word for burning, it's al-mokdah. The mokdah is the word that's used there for burning. If you look at a Torah scroll, you will notice there is a small mem in the word mokdah. Okay, the small mem. The mem is smaller than the rest of the word, so it kind of catches our attention, right? Kind of draws our eye to it. Something that looks a little off, so we say, why is that there like that? And so what does the small mem mean? Well, mem could mean a few different things, like the picture is like waves of water. Pictograph is like liquid or water, sea, or something is mighty or massive. Could even be chaos. You know, the sea is very scary to many people. We know more about space than we do the sea, and I don't think we really know that as much as we think we do about space. Okay, so there's a lot to be said here. You know, the sea was a very terrible, fearsome thing. If you got caught on a massive storm at sea, there's really not a lot you can do about it. You're at its mercy, right? So these are some things that we need to pay attention to. So the chaos that's there is small. What does that tell us? In Mokdah, the chaos is small. If we keep our fire lit and on the altar, if we keep that fire burning, our chaos will be small. Now, another thing, the word kadah, from the word mokdah, that word kadah means to bow or obeisance, right? Signifying as well, if we remain humble and submit to Yahweh's will, our chaos will be small. And just as a side note, that doesn't mean a removal of opposition. It means the presence of peace. To be at peace doesn't mean there's no strife. Okay, to be at peace means exactly that. You are at peace no matter what else is going on around you. But that fire of Yahweh is burning within you. It kind of makes me think of the prophet. Isn't that his word, like a fire shut up in my bones, right? It is his word burning within me, right? And fire purifies. And so it is that fire we have to keep burning within us. How do we do that? By supplying the wood that you need for the fire, by supplying the oil that you need for the fire, you know, the wood for the altar, the oil for the menorah, all of this, supplying the things to allow to burn, right? We have to have the word of Yahweh burning within us, kind of like in Luke 24, 30, 32, where it says Yeshua was at the table with these two men who were on the road to Emmaus, and he walked with them, and then they invited him back to their home to eat. So he took the bread, he blessed it and broke it and gave it to them, and their eyes were opened and they recognized him. And he vanished from their sight, and they said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us while he talked to us on the road?" And as he opened up the scriptures. So again, burning within us, all of this, right? So the word of Yahweh should burn within us as it is revealed to us, okay? Now, one more thing about the altar in Leviticus 6:13, where it says the fire is to be burning upon the altar. We keep our fire lit, it's never supposed to go out, right? So where this reads, Esh Tamid Tukad, so again, the fire is to ever be burning, Al HaMizbeach, on the altar, Lo Tikaveh. This is what I want to look at. Your lo is to your negative aspects could be read as not. It says will not go out, but lo could also be read as your negative aspects. And then tikaveh is to be extinguished. It will not go out. So the fires to never go out can also be read as your negative aspects will be extinguished. If you keep the fire burning on the altar, it's going to burn out all the negative things. It's going to burn out all the things that don't need to be there. So the idea behind this is do not put out the fire. You know, sometimes accidents happen, things happen, but it's like even neglect can cause a fire to go out. No, you have to tend the fire. You have to put wood on the fire. You can't just throw a bunch of wood on the fire either. You need to have the wood in order to allow the wind to blow through the wood so that the wind gets to the fire and keeps the fire burning. That testifies to us as well, because wind, ruach, right? To put the stuff there that allows the ruach to flow through so that the fire stays lit and stays burning. If we just keep piling a whole bunch of wood on, we will snuff out the fire. Okay? The fire will eventually go out because there's too much stuff over it. So you put it on and let it be arranged in the way it's supposed to be arranged, so we're not smothering the fire. We are giving the proper air, the proper ruach there that the fire needs, right? And then don't neglect the fire. Don't neglect it so that it goes out. Make sure you are putting the things on it needs to be put on. You know, put on the kindling when you need to put on the kindling. Put on the big pieces when you need to put on the big pieces. Do all this so that it flows. And then, like in the first thing in the morning, they had to remove the ash from the stuff that had burned overnight. Because even the ash, even the things that burned away and it's gone, now it's ash. If it stays there in ash, that as well will not let the air blow through and will smother out the fire. So even the things of yesterday, the things that have gone, the things that have been burned out, don't try to hold on to them. The things that have been burned out, remove them from your altar of your heart. Remove them daily. Put them away so that today's fire can be fresh, so that today's flame can be good and not be impeded and be clean and to burn within us, right? Romans 12, verses 10 to 12 says, be devoted to each other with mutual affection, excel in showing respect for each other. Never be lazy in showing devotion. Be on fire with the Spirit. Serve the Lord. And be joyful in hope, patient in trouble, and persistent in prayer. You know, Romans 12, 1 and 2, again, talks about laying yourself down on the altar, a living sacrifice. And then down here, it says, don't let the fire go out. Make sure the fire is continually lit. Serve Yahweh. How do we keep that fire lit? Serve Yahweh, right? Matthew 5, 14 and 16 says, you are the light of the world. A city that's set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and that gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. In John 8:12, Yeshua says again, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Fire gives warmth, it gives heat, but it also gives light. And so that's what he's saying. Get that fire burning within you so that you are that light to the world. And so that fire is also contagious, right? If it gets near something that's prepared, it will light it. If it's something it's like not prepared to receive the fire, like it's say waterlogged piece of wood, it's not going to light. But if it's something that is prepared, you bring it close to the fire, it's going to burn. Right? Something that is ready to hear that. Guys, that's what we are. We are the light of the world. We're supposed to let that fire burn within us and be contagious. Let the fire of Yahweh burn within our hearts and within our lives and do share that. Ephesians 5, 8 and 9 says, you used to be darkness. It didn't say you used to be in darkness. It says you used to be darkness. That means a complete change of who you are. It says, but now united with the Lord, you are light. So live like children of light. For the fruit of light is in every kind of goodness, rightness, and truth. So the fruit of light. In other words, we have to produce good fruit, and that light has to shine. Let it continually shine. Live like children of light. You used to be darkness. You are no longer that person. Live as light. A change of everything that you are. Proverbs 20:27 says, the spirit of man is the lamp of Adonai, searching all his inmost being. The spirit of mankind is the lamp for Yahweh. So what do you do with the lamp? You put the oil in it, you put the wick in it, and you light it to get that fire. So if you are the lamp, well, we need to make sure there's oil in our lamp, us, and we need to make sure that we're providing a means for that fire to burn. So again, when you're surrendering and submitting ourselves to Yahweh and doing what he's asking us to do. Philippians 2, 14 and 15 says, do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent children of God, without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. See that? Do all things without grumbling or disputing. How many times do we do something, but we're just as bad as the world is about complaining about it? Yeah, I'll do it. And like, it's my job. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to complain about it the whole time. We shouldn't do that. It says do all things, not just do some things, or not just do the things you like or the things that you enjoy. Do all things without grumbling or disputing. Why disputing? Because when we're doing something we don't want to do, we kind of take it out on each other, don't we? And we shouldn't do that. We don't need to be that way. We need to work together to accomplish whatever task at hand is put before us. Whatever it is, we need to work together to accomplish it. Why? Because then Yahweh gets the glory. Even when we don't want to do something, people are still watching you. Even more so, actually. So these are the times we need to give glory to Yahweh by just doing what we need to do. Just doing what we need to do because we're working to Him. We're doing things to Him. We're not doing things for the glory of ourselves. We're doing things to honor Yahweh. And so that's what He's asking us to do. Isaiah 42, 6 and 7 says, I, Adonai, called you in righteousness. I will take hold of your hand. I will keep you and give you as a covenant to the people, as a light to the nations. By opening blind eyes, bringing prisoners out of the dungeon and those sitting in darkness out of the prison house. Pretty cool, isn't it? He says, I have called you in righteousness. I take hold of your hand. I'll give you as a covenant to the people, a light to the nations. You're supposed to be a light to the nations. And doing what? Doing the good things that Yahweh has put in front of you, like opening blind eyes, bringing the prisoners out of the dungeon, setting those in darkness out, help free the captives. And this is what Yeshua said He came for. These are the things that we should be doing as well, right? Helping to do all of these things because Yahweh has called us in His righteousness, and He will grab our hands and lead us in the path, but we need to show the covenant to others. He's extended covenant to you. You are covenant people of Yahweh. And as such, we need to learn to be a light to those around us. Isaiah 60 verse 1 says, Arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of Adonai has risen on you. This is a messianic prophecy. This is talking about Yeshua. Arise and shine, for your light has come. What is our light? The light is Yeshua. It says the glory of Adonai has risen upon you. What's the glory of Adonai? It's Yeshua. In the Targum of Isaiah 60 verse 1, it says, Get up, shine bright, Jerusalem, for the time of your redemption has come. That's the understanding. It's the Messiah. The Messiah has come, and He is the light of Yahweh. Now, John chapter 1, so again, we talk about in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. Down to verse 14, He is the Word that became flesh and dwelt among us, right? But in that passage of John chapter 1, we also read that He is the light of life. He is the light that is within men. And the light came to the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. See, again, we're talking about letting your light shine. It's not a matter of let your light shine unless people don't comprehend it. Let your light shine unless there's darkness. No, that's the purpose of light. Let your light shine even though there is darkness. And we need to make sure we're providing what we need to allow that light, which is Yahweh. It's nothing we do of our own, nothing we do on ourselves, but it's surrendering ourselves to Yahweh, walking with Him, that allows His light to shine through us. Jewish tradition in the Midrash Rabbah of Numbers 15:4 says, God is the light of the universe, yet He commands that a lamp be lighted to give back to God. So God has led Israel by His light, and in gratitude, Israel is to give light in return. The light of the menorah does not perish, as must even the temple, but in its continued burning symbolizes the fact that God's blessings endure forever to His children. See that? Yahweh said He led Israel by light, so He wants us to acknowledge that light by giving back to Him. It's kind of like the idea of Yahweh has given us everything we have. And because of that, we surrender portions of what He has given us back to Him as an honoring of Him, because He's given us everything. Matter of fact, everything belongs to Him. So in that, we surrender the portions back to Him that belong to Him. Same thing as this. He put His light here in the earth and decided that He can have His light live in you and through you. If we repent and we come to live for Him and enter in a covenant with Him, we have that light shining within us. And we give that light to Him every day. We are surrendering ourselves as a lamp to let His light shine within us. So Yahweh's blessing and light revealed in Yeshua. Matthew 1:21 says, she will give birth to a son, and you will call his name Yeshua, for he will save his people from their sins. He is the light, and He is our Savior. He's our Messiah. And the word light, synonymous with the Messiah, it's been that way in many different places. Herman Strack in the commentary of the New Testament puts it this way: light, Menorah, and Nahira are understood as names of the Messiah. So light is understood as the name for the Messiah. Menorah, light, in the Genesis Rabbah 1, Menorah dwells within him, speaking of God, in Genesis 2:22. And the king, the Messiah, according to Isaiah 60, verse 1, arise and shine, for your light, which equals the Messiah, has come. Midrash and Lamentations 1:16, Nahira, the enlightened one, will be the Messiah's name. And Nahira, light, dwells within him. Again, it is a picture of Messiah being the light. So it is testified, the Messiah has come, the light has come. Matthew 4:16 says, the people sitting in darkness have seen a great light, and those sitting in the region and shadow of death, on them a light has dawned. And again, what is that light? That light is Yeshua. Psalm 36:10 says, for with you is the fountain of life. In your light we see light. That's kind of a weird way to say that, isn't it? I mean, it seems a little redundant and doesn't really make sense when you think about it. However, there's some things to say here. Okay, in your light we see light. Apart from you, there is no light. We can think about it that way. But in your light is where we truly understand what light is, right? Put it this way. In the Pesikta Rabati, it says, in your light we see light. What is the light that the community of Israel will see? This is the light of the Messiah. So it says, for with you is the fountain of life. What's the fountain of life? Again, Yeshua. He is the living water, right? In your light, the Messiah, we see light. So in this fountain of life, in the Messiah, we see light. It's a messianic prophecy that's given there. Psalm 132:17 says, there I will make a horn spring up for David, and I have set up a lamp for my anointed. Again, the picture of a lamp being set and established for the people of Yahweh. 2 Corinthians 4:6 says, for God who said, let your light shine out of darkness, is the one who has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Messiah. See that? For God who said, let light shine out of the darkness, is the same one that has shown in our hearts to give the light of knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Messiah. At the very beginning, when Yahweh said, let there be light, which wasn't like a permission kind of thing. It was a command. He said, Yehi or, light exist. And so for the same one who said, light be, is the same one who causes that light to shine in your heart. Because the same heart, that same light to shine in your life. Ephesians 5:8, again, for once you were darkness, not in darkness, you were darkness. But now in union with Yahweh, you are light. So walk as children of light. And in 1 John 1:7, it says, but if we walk in the light, as he himself is in the light, I'm going to say is the light, we have fellowship with one another. And the blood of his son, Yeshua, purifies us from all sin. Guys, how do we walk in the light? He is the one that we bring the oil to so that that light, that fire can shine. It's not our fire. It's his fire. But we have the responsibility to make sure that fire stays burning. We have to tend that. We have to care for that. And in that burning, it goes up. It ascends before Yahweh. It's his fire. And so if we are surrendering ourselves, we're giving the oil that needs to burn, it will burn for him. And it will burn up to him. And when people look, they will see him because he is the light that is in the world. But he also said to his disciples, you are the light of the world. Same for you. If you are a disciple of Yahweh, if you're a disciple of Yeshua, you are the light of the world as well. How so? Because he lives in you. And if he lives in you, then let that light shine. And you have a responsibility to go and be that light to show people the path of your Elohim, Yahweh, the Most High. Okay, that's a lot in there, and that was just covering verses 1 and 2 in the Parsha. The first two verses are given here. But that's all we have for you today. So I pray this has been a blessing to you, and I pray this has blessed you as well. And if this has blessed you, then please share it. And if it's blessed you, it's probably going to bless somebody else too, right? So whatever avenue you watch or you listen, please share and help get these out there. And if this has been a blessing to you, then please consider making a donation to help us continue putting these out there. We can only continue to put them out there because you're helping us do that. Okay, so if this has been a blessing to you, help us continue in any way that you can to help them moving along. Okay. So that's it for you today, guys. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing. Shalom.